Hello, Bright Checkers. Welcome to today's episode where we continue looking at family planning or contraception. And in today's session, we're going to be looking at intrauterine contraceptive device. So the intrauterine contraceptive devices, already we know that we are looking at a device. We're looking at things that are dealing with contraception, and intrauterine meaning that we have to actually push and insert this in the uterus for it to actually offer contraception. Now, there are basically two common methods that we can obviously consider for intrauterine contraceptive devices. You have the copper based intrauterine devices, and you also have the hormonal based devices. Now, how are all these bringing about contraception, or how are they working? Before we even delve in to look at what they really are, so what they are basically going to do is they are going to be releasing, especially for the copper device, which is in most cases going to be the copper T380A, is going to release the copper ions in smaller amounts within the uterus. And that's obviously going to prevent the union of the spermatozoa with the ovum, preventing it from then being fertilized. Again, the cervical mucus here is going to be thickened so that the motility of the sperms is going to obviously be affected. So it is also going to prevent this fertilized egg. If the egg then is fertilized, it is going to prevent it from then implanting within the uterus because it has made the environment toxic there. So it has a component that we call the blastocystotoxic effect, meaning that just the blastocyst itself will not come down into the uterus to come in and implant because the environment itself would have been made toxic in there. So like I made mention, we have two important methods. That is one which is a copper method and one which is the hormone method. Now, the copper methods and the hormone methods, you're going to find that they're going to appear in more or less like a T shape. Why? Because they are going to be hanging more or less in the fallopian tube. So you'll be having one end pointing to the fallopian tube and the other one pointing to the fallopian tube, and then hanging in the uterus there with some form of a string. Why? Because the string is obviously what we're going to use to pull and have those devices out of the uterus once they have then lived their time. Now, these are going to offer you contraception for a very long period of time, and they're going to be working by either releasing the copper ions in smaller amounts, and if you're using the hormonal one, which is going to be releasing the progesterone amount also in levels to then bring about the thickening of the cervical mucus and preventing issues to do with ovulation, preventing implantation as well. So for the hormonal methods, one common one that you can use is a method that is referred to as Mirena, and then you have the copper methods, which could obviously be the copper T380 as well. Now, there are a number of different other methods that are used in terms of intrauterine contraceptive devices. And these intrauterine contraceptive devices have also different indications. So for the copper method can be used for a period of up to about 10 years or so. And when you're using the Mirena, if it has been cited and you're less than 45 years, you can actually go ahead and use it up to a period of about 8 years. But then if it is inserted for the purpose of hormone replacement, that is as a therapy for hormone replacement, then it will only be used for a period of about 5 years. But if you're using it for contraception and you're already in below 45 years, then you can go ahead and use it for a period of about 8 years. And if you're above 45, you can even use it for a period of about 10 years. So they are very effective methods for about 99% or so in giving you all that contraception that you would need for that very long period of time. Now, who is indicated for using such methods? So this is going to be helpful for people that are obviously not good at remembering that they need to take a pill, or remembering that they have to go back to the hospital and have their injection after 2 months with the steroid, or after 3 months with Depo-Provera, but they want something that is going to help them for a very long time. So those women then will definitely be using this method. And because it gives you a longer period of time, about 8 to 10 years, for those people that may have not decided to either go for sterilization or for the permanent methods, they may use these methods as well, just as a way of giving them time and contraception for a very long period of time. And so women also who do not have frequent intercourse, or who obviously see their partners sporadically, so you may actually basically use these methods because you may not know when exactly you're going to have intercourse. So if you're not having intercourse on a frequent basis, you may benefit from these methods because you have contraception for a very long period of time. Even if it is a short encounter, then it means you already have a protection for that. Now, these IUDs, they can also be utilized by women who have contraindications to all these other methods. Now, if they have all contraindications to all these other methods, and then the copper method is a method that is going to be effective for them, then they may as well go ahead and utilize it. Now, in what cases would you not want to use these intrauterine devices? For people that have multiple sexual partners, obviously you would want to avoid it because of the chances of then culminating into sexually transmitted infections and then going ahead to develop into pelvic inflammatory diseases. And if you have already a non-suspected pregnancy, then you do not want to use this, because the copper ions that are going to then be released there, they're going to be toxic, and then they may lead to a mid-trimester abortion. So that would then get rid of that pregnancy. So if you already have the devices in and then you identify that you're pregnant, then the devices have to be taken out because they have a chance of causing that mid-trimester abortion. So you will need to let that pregnancy obviously also continue once it has already been identified. Now, if you have a case also of malignancy, you would not want to use these methods as well. That is the intrauterine devices. If you have any allergies to copper, then don't use the copper ones, but you can use the Mirena, which is the hormonal one, because it contains just the same hormones that you would find in the orals and in the injectables as well. And any abnormalities, obviously, to the uterine cavity as well will then impede the functionality or the placement of these intrauterine devices, and then that complicates on how they are going to obviously help you to give you that contraception for a very long time. So they do not interfere obviously with sexual intercourse, so you can use them for a very long period of time. Now, one of the commonest complication basically it has to do with not necessarily the device itself, but the process that is undergone when you have this device being sited. And so there's what we call a uterine sound, basically where you have to measure how high or the length of the uterus before you can actually introduce that device. So issues to do with uterine perforation, they are very rare, but there are cases that may happen. That is, if you do not note when you have a failed resistance, you may actually continue pushing that uterine sound until you actually cause any perforation. But the commonest side effect or the commonest complication that may then occur is that pregnancy may result with you thinking that you have the device in there, when in the actual sense the device has actually been expelled if you've had a heavy period. That is, if you have had a heavy period, it is also wise to obviously go and check that the device is still in place and is still offering you the contraception that you need, so that you have a free mind. So if you have a heavy period, you have all those cramps, it is also worthwhile obviously after the menses checking that the device is still there and it has not been expelled, because you may be thinking that the device is still readily available in there and yet the device has actually been expelled. Now, the intrauterine contraceptive devices also play a key role when it comes to emergency contraception. Now, I look at that in another video. So if you found this one helpful in understanding which methods you can use, that is, you can use the copper T and you can use the hormonal methods, which has a lot of other different brands of methods that contain hormones that you can obviously use as long-term but then reversible contraception, then don't hesitate to give me a thumbs up. Don't hesitate to like the video, drop me comments in the comments section, head on to my YouTube channel as well and subscribe to the channel. And also thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.